Hello YouTube, this is Omega back with another video. Look, I just want to have a look at something here, and I've called this video Break Out of the Matrix because we really are in a matrix, and I don't know if you actually realize that, but we're in a matrix of truth. And there's just a few things I want you to consider. Why are people really scared of the truth? Why are people actually scared of the real truth? And I think it's because the truth actually reveals what is real. It reveals what reality is. And when we have reality revealed, we have to deal with the implications of that. We have to deal with that. If you're in a plane and you realize that the plane is going to crash, you need to deal with that. If you're in a situation where the reality changes, you have to adapt to that. And the problem with us being in the matrix, as we are in society, is that makes us different from everyone else, because people in society don't want to come out of the matrix. Now, when you understand the truth and you start investigating the truth, it does something. It takes you way out of your comfort zone. And again, because when you come out of your comfort zone, it generally requires change when you discover truth, and it takes you out of the status quo because you know you need to adapt to it or live in ignorance of it. And you know, I think the scary thing is, as we go into truth, when you start realizing that everyone around you is living a lie and they're living within the matrix. So why don't people actually pursue it? Have you ever wondered why people are not actively pursuing the truth? You know, how they're just being fed ideas, fed information, fed education, but they never really stop to examine the truth. And that's because they don't want to come out of the construct. They don't want to come out of the construct that we've been given, because inherently people are like herd animals. They want to fit in. And the truth does a few other things too. It reveals things. It breaks things down. And I think some people are actually scared of what they might find, because a lot of the things you find when you go into the truth of something, you find the core of that thing, and a lot of the time that's ugly. And what's even scarier is we find out things about ourselves, and those things can be ugly too. Now, let's just have a look at one truth that we've been fed, and see what the implications of that are. Evolution. What if evolution was a lie? What if everything you've been taught about evolution was a lie and it can't be proven scientifically? Well, I can actually prove that scientifically, that evolution is a lie, because when Darwinism was created, they didn't have modern science. They didn't have the advances in science that we have today in biology, for example. And if you look at a DNA strand has a preconceived program of the organism it's going to create, what it's going to turn into. And basically, if you look at evolution, you're having jumps from bacteria to like a fish, and to an amphibian, and then that goes up to a mammal, and then that goes to an ape, and then that goes to a human. And even in the fossil record itself, all the animals that are in between, and this huge process between all of these animals, none of those fossils exist. They're not there. And the scientists' only excuse for that is they became extinct. Fair enough, but there's still no fossil record. And on a biological level, when you look at that, on a biological level, they were asked, how can these animals change in the first place? So when asked that question, they talk about mutations. Now, thousands and thousands of mutations that happen. Now, the problem with that is, recently we've discovered that all mutations actually detract from the DNA information. And about 99% of mutations, extremely high number, overwhelming number, are actually diseases like cancer, anemia, all these sorts of diseases that kill people or kill animals, these mutations. And so mutations don't actually advance a species, they don't progress a species, yet this is the cornerstone of evolution. Not to mention the fact that there are no cross-kind animals. You've got a kind of animal which is a fish or an amphibian or a mammal. There's no half and halves anywhere. It's either or either, again, because it's done on a biological scale. The DNA cannot be altered. Now, the only answer evolutionists have given, they said, oh, we've got the sickle cell. The sickle cell is a blood cell which is deformed, which malaria can't attach itself to. Now, they say this is a great example of how a mutation can give an advantage to an animal, and there's our theory proved. Well, the problem with the sickle cell is it's mutated. It does a very poor job at taking oxygen around the body. Because of its shape, they generally cling together and clog up arteries, and most people who have sickle cell are anemic, and a lot of them die at a very early age. So again, it's a disease, and the virus of malaria will not attach itself to the sickle cell virus because it recognises that it's diseased and malformed, etc., etc. So evolutionists have a real problem. It cannot be. It just can't happen. According to the laws of biology, evolution is impossible. So I've said, where does that leave you? This is just an example, and I've given my reasoning. Let's just say that evolution is not true. Where would that leave you? And would you be willing to say, I've learned that this is not true, now what do I do? How do you still want to fit in? And do you want to just continue living the lie? Because any truth has a massive implication. It has a massive consequence for your perception and your reality. Or are you just going to choose to live in ignorance? I was talking to a guy who was an atheist, and I've got nothing against atheists. If they want to be atheists, that's fine. Personally, I believe in some kind of creation because all the science points to that, and that's where my perception comes from. But this guy said, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in any creator, but I refuse to give you a position on anything. Atheism is fluid, he said. So he refused to have a position because then he could continue the narrative of the truth is what you make it. But the problem is, truth is finite. We have to have a position. If you don't have a position, then what is your reality really based on? Are you just being fed false information? Are you just believing whatever you hear? Are you unwilling to discover why? Because you don't like the implications. Maybe you like it in the Matrix. Maybe you want to remain in the Matrix and never want to come out. Because, maybe you're one of these people who's scared of the truth because the truth is ugly. Perhaps you like being a slave. And perhaps you like maintaining the illusion of control, or we can choose to be free people. We can choose to come out of the matrix. Understand there is a matrix though. Understand you are being lied to. Understand you are being controlled. And think about it on a political level. If we all knew evolution wasn't true, and we all knew that there was, just hypothetically, if we were created, there would be a higher moral law for all of us. Now, these higher moral laws might conflict with political control. That's not going to work for them. And, we've seen in the past how political leaders will take stuff like religions and use them and manipulate them and mangulate them for their own ends. So you can see how powerful belief is. You can see how it can be used in society and control society. So this is Omega. I'm signing out. If you like the video, just subscribe or hit like. But this is just to get you to think. Get you to think about what is real and how do you come to your beliefs, and are you willing to defend them? I'm willing to defend mine, but can you defend your position? This is Omega. Again, hit like, subscribe, and I'll be back shortly with another video. Peace out to everybody. See you later, guys.